All right, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide heading into a massive matchup. Of course, it's Tennessee week, one of the best weeks in college football. Big fan of it. Any fan of the SEC, frankly, and any fan of college football is excited for this game. Certainly Alabama fans. And it looks like Nick Saban and the Alabama coaching staff are making a huge move for the offense heading into this big matchup. We've got a report from Bama Central. Miles, if you throw it up, I will read from it. For the first time this season in Saturday's win over Arkansas, 4 different Alabama running backs got carries in the first half of the game. Before Saturday, Jam Miller had 1 carry in the first half all season, and Justice Haynes had none. The two had been limited reps and mostly mop-up duty when Alabama had already put games away against opponents like Middle Tennessee and Mississippi State. Haynes finished with just 2 carries for 11 yards, but Alabama seemed to have a more concerted effort to get its top 4 running backs, playing time against the Razorbacks. Talking about Haynes, he played great, Saban said Monday. He's been playing really well all year. Justice played really good when he was in there. We're pleased with all those guys, and maybe there'll be some opportunity for him to make a bigger contribution in the future. On the season, Haynes now has 10 carries for 62 yards. He has yet to score his first touchdown with the Crimson Tide. The true freshman now has carries in 3 different games, but has played in almost every game on special teams. All right, the big meat of the report there is what Saban mentioned about 2/3 of the way down, saying he will get opportunities, or he seems to be working his way to getting more opportunities in the future. And look, we know Roydell Williams is number 2 guy. Jace McClellan obviously is a bell cow in this backfield, and Jalen Monroe can run out, of course, from his position at the quarterback area as well. But I think adding a 3rd runner into the fold could be the spark this sometimes middling Alabama offense will need. I think we're going to see a lot more of Justice Haynes. I'm surprised it waited this long to see him to this point, but I think now is a time as good as any to bring him out and unveil him against Tennessee. I'm curious what your thoughts are, Mize, but before I ask your opinion on it, Crimson Tide fans, here we go. Tennessee week, chance to get some revenge after last year's defeat. Give us your prediction, final score, Alabama, Tennessee, in the comment section below. But Miles, what do you think of Alabama potentially adding a 3rd big-time carrier in the backfield predominantly to use as part of their normal rotation?
Love it. Gotta love stuff like this because we talk about this all the time on this channel. The running back position and everything really in college football is mimicking the NFL in a lot of different ways, and that running back by committee has got to be the way to go. Don't put a lot of miles on these guys. Flip them in and out. Young, fresh legs throughout the game are going to be the key to success. And like you said, I think it could be a spark that this offense needs. And this guy, he's such a great player, Nick. As a freshman, 5'11", 205. This guy, he could be pretty big time for a running back. And he's just a really hard downhill runner, great one-cut type of guy. I think this guy could be, like you said, a spark that this offense needed. But, I think that this guy, he also comes in and he's been waiting his time in Alabama. He came in knowing that he was one of the top running backs in the country, 4-star coming out of high school. This guy was rated very, very highly. But he comes into this offense, buys his time, sees how things are going, waits for it, and now the offensive line is blocking a little bit better. There have been stories about that, talking about how Saban's been, happy, especially against Arkansas. They showed their stuff. And now this guy's coming in at the perfect opportunity, I think, to get his big breakout into SEC play against a team like Tennessee, who I think when I watched them versus South Carolina, they were very susceptible to the run. South Carolina was able to run the ball all over them, although South Carolina's not able to get the win. This is a South Carolina team that I don't think is necessarily great at offense either. So I think this is perfect timing, perfect game planning by Saban to come in to Tennessee week, big time SEC game, and really just try to pound the rock with these young guys. I think this is really good game plan for Alabama going into this week.
Yeah, this Alabama team kind of reminds me of this 2016 squad led by Jalen Hurts. Of course, as a team ended up finishing second, of course, came this close to winning a national title. But stylistically, this is what this team reminds me of. Good defense, clutch defense. Quarterback play isn't spectacular. It's inconsistent at times, but you've got a great athlete, and at times they can be very explosive in the passing game, very similar to that 2016 squad. But one of the things people forget about Alabama, because people remember Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, there were a few years there where they used running back committee by committee with a lot of success. You go back to that 2016 group, people remember Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, the emergence of Josh Jacobs, right? This was a running back by committee team in 2016 that went all the way to the national title game. Alabama could potentially follow that same role model here. They just need to get another guy into the backfield to be that number 3 option. And it looks like Haynes is that guy. I think he's the right guy to allude to it. Like you said, the dude's already 200 plus pounds, 5'11 is a good height. He's a physical specimen. This is not a guy where you have to worry about him maybe being too small for college ball. He can come in, and Alabama fans, you've seen it right away, make some plays, whether on special teams or in limited carries. But I think the whole strategy here, we're seeing it from Alabama as it looks like they have a chance to make a real run here. If you look at their schedule, I don't see a reason why they don't finish 11-1 and head to the SEC title game, most likely in a matchup against Georgia. Again, without Brock Bowers, most likely, or a limited Brock Bowers. We'll see how that injury shakes out there. Georgia's not as good this year as they were the last couple of years. Again, Alabama, as bad as it looked about a month ago, I think they're clearly the number 2 team in the SEC, and I'm not too terrified of Georgia as I was a little while ago. Things are shaping up for Alabama, and you're seeing the moves they're making to create this the scheme, the strategy, and the personnel in place to make a deep run, to potentially win the SEC, and to potentially make a run at the college football playoff as well.
Yeah, Nick, and you got this week, you got next week. Tennessee, then you got LSU, 2 tough games. Kentucky, everyone's, up and down on them. I think that's a winnable game, though. Chattanooga, definitely a winnable game. Then Auburn at the end of the season, I think Alabama has the upper hand there, but that game, nobody truly knows what happens in that game. The Iron Bowl is always unpredictable. But like I said, this week, next week, if you can get through this as Alabama, you can start this game plan, assert the dominance in these next 2 weeks. I think it carries on for the rest of the season. And like you said, this is the perfect type of team, the perfect type of football they've been playing to get themselves into the college football playoff and potentially see if they can bring back another championship to Alabama.
And just to end on this, they get Tennessee, of course, this week, and LSU next week. They get them at home, right? The pathway is open right there. This is the time of the year where you practice how you're going to play in big games down the stretch. This is the time of the year where you put the personnel in place. This is the home stretch for Alabama. Nick Saban, rightly so, is treating this as sort of a make or break moment of these next 2 weeks. That's why I think the emergence of Haynes falls into a big part of that. This is their window. I think they certainly can beat Tennessee. I think LSU is very overrated. They got a good offense. Their defense is atrocious. After that, I think it's a bit of a cakewalk to the SEC title game. Things are aligning for Alabama, and Crimson Tide fans, I think there's reasons to be nervous, but I think there's reasons to be excited as well. And this offense, adding another running back into the rotation, is one of those reasons to be excited.